Hi, my name is Kat Peters, and I'm the Assistant Director of the Institute for Leadership and Service, which is located here in the Helge Center next to the chapel. And I have the great privilege of being able to coordinate the CAPS Fellows Program, the Calling and Purpose in Society program. And we are now in fall of 2025 recruiting for our summer 2026 cohort. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit in this presentation about what is CAPS. What will you get out of CAPS? What will you give as a part of CAPS? And how CAPS can influence your future. So first of all, here in the Institute for Leadership and Service, we talk a lot about reflection and the importance of reflection, and also about vocation. How are we called to lead and serve in the world? And however you conceive of that kind of call, whether it's from a greater power or your inner voice or the needs of the world. We ask this question a lot: how do I meet this moment? Meaning, we think about ourselves and our passions and our skills and our interests and talents, even our limitations. And then we think about what's going on in the world, what's going on around us in, uh, the types of jobs that we want to do, in uh, political situations, economics, our families, our communities. Sometimes I think of this: how do I meet this moment with my 6-year-old when he's throwing a tantrum? Just a very specific one-time moment. Or we can think about this question about how do we choose our career? How do we choose our major? What kind of class should we take next semester? So this is a question that you will ask every day of your life. And we talk about reflection as a muscle that we can strengthen by working on it more together. People have found that by exercising this reflection muscle on a daily basis, we get better at making decisions in general in our lives. And so this is a little bit about what CAPS is about, is doing a program and an internship that has reflection built in that helps us to strengthen that muscle to be able to work with this question. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what CAPS is. Now, you'll see some different photos and quotes sprinkled throughout the presentation. These are all from CAPS Fellows from last summer, summer of 2025. Nora here worked at Heartland Alliance in Chicago, which is a refugee resettlement organization. So CAPS, basically what it boils down to is it's a summer internship, but it's a lot more than that because you get both professional and personal development. The application process itself as a part of CAPS is professional development. You get practice on your resume, on writing your personal statement. You get practice doing several interviews. Of course, at a summer internship, you are located at an organization, so you get professional experience just from doing the work of the summer internship. And it's a lot of personal development, thinking about what you want out of life, what you learn about yourself being in that internship. We say that it's socially engaged because these are internships with nonprofit organizations that are working on difficult issues in the world. I mentioned refugee resettlement, environmental conservation. There's a summer camp for young people of all abilities. There's literacy programs in urban areas. There's the intersection of art and community, faith. And so just a lot of different things going on. And then, as we've already talked about, this is a program that is really rooted in reflection. So you would go through an application process, and when you are identified as a finalist, we give you a list of placement options for a summer internship, and you are able to interview with several of them, and then we place you in a summer internship. So here, one of our previous CAPS fellows, Larissa, talks about this is a valuable experience, even if it's not in your field of study. You can connect with other people and discover things about yourself. Larissa and other CAPS fellows in the past have actually been offered jobs after their internship is over. What will you get out of CAPS? Here's Larissa at her internship placement, sitting in a circle outside there. CAPS provides you with a stipend, meaning money, to cover your summer expenses. A lot of CAPS fellows are able to bring some savings into the fall semester. Some placements even have housing provided. So here you see a beautiful photo of one of the placements out in Washington State at Holden Village is one of the placements that provides housing. There's another one out in Washington State also in the beautiful Cascade Mountains. We provide you with an alumni mentor. We provide you with weekly support in your internship. And then, of course, the group and individual reflection that we've talked about. What will you give as part of your internship? Here's Danny leaning over the table there at her internship at Heartland Alliance in Chicago. So you will intern at a nonprofit organization. We have placements here in Northwest Indiana and Chicago and Washington State. And this is like a full-time-ish job for a big part of the summer, but we want you to aim for about 300 hours in the internship over the course of 9 to 11 weeks. So you would negotiate with your supervisor your start date and end date and kind of your weekly schedule. Here, Emma Depa is talking about, she worked at Save the Dunes, which is the oldest nonprofit organization here in Indiana. She says it's a good experience to have. I definitely learned a lot and enjoyed my time doing it. I got to work with organizations I wouldn't otherwise be able to work with. So what's next here? Amelia sent this photo from her literacy program in Chicago. Doing CAPS is really great practice for your future. So just having a fellowship looks really great on a resume, but when you apply for these different opportunities like jobs or graduate schools or fellowships, you're going to need to be able to tell your story in those applications. And CAPS prepares you to have things to talk about in that story and to be able to say something specific about that experience and what you learned about where you're going in your life, what you want out of life, what your passions and skills are. Because we work together on group and individual reflections, you will find that you will have done some writing and reflecting in CAPS that will prepare you to write these application materials for future opportunities. And you will have done the work already of thinking about what does this experience mean to me? And that's what employers and grad schools want to see in your personal statements. Here, Emma Johnson, she worked at the Dunes Learning Center, and she says, it's really cool how intentional the structure of the program is. It's not just a disconnected individual internship, right? You get an individual job, but you're backed by community, an alumni mentor, ILAS, and others. So here's kind of our timeline. The application is going to open November 5th, and we will have an info session November 6th in the union, where we'll go much more in depth about the application process. We're going to give you exclusive tips for how to have a successful application. And then you'll have kind of the holiday time to think about it and prepare your application. The deadline is when you come back from winter break there in mid-January. Semifinalists will be identified and will come in for interviews on a Saturday in February. And then finalists will be determined and notified by February 20th. Before spring break, you'll do a couple of workshops to help prepare you to apply to the actual internship placements. And you'll interview with those organizations after spring break, after which time we will make placement matches and offers. And when you accept your placement by April 13th, your summer is all set to go. So this is what we have coming up. If you have questions or need more information, you can go to our website. You can also contact me directly via email at my email address or lead.serve@valpo.edu. Give me a call. I'm here to help and answer your questions. Thank you very much.